Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Second Chance Overland. It is time for another Beer 30. We are in the shop here and we have a special guest today. We've got Chance from Recoil Outdoor, the owner and founder. Chance, thanks for coming out and having a beer with us, man.
Yeah, man. No problem. Appreciate you guys.
And of course, we've got Keith. We can't have one of these without Keith now, I think. So yeah, Chance, thanks for coming out, man. So we met at Mud and Mocha last month, which you put on.
Yep.
Was that the first ever one that you've done?
That was the second.
That was the second, okay.
Yeah, so the first one was in December, and we started in like 2 weeks. We were like, oh, let's have our first one in 2 weeks. And, you know, we were actually surprised at the turnout. We had like 17 rigs show up. So when the second one showed up, and, you know, we were late to our own event, the second one. But we got there. We were surprised with the turnout. So it was awesome. We're pretty stoked to be putting on those events.
And it was a pretty good turnout, I will say, because we've been to as many different events as we can since over the last year when we've had time, right? And we've been to. I went to one that actually drove out to Tulsa, and I was one of 3 rigs.
Oh man,
that showed up. So that was a great event, especially considering the weather conditions.
Yes, it was cold.
Yeah, we were. Actually, a lot of people were giving Keith and I crap because we were running around in heated jackets, the Milwaukee heated jackets. What most people don't know is I had a Milwaukee heated vest under my sweatshirt, on, and then a Milwaukee heated jacket on top of it.
I gotta try one of those. We were in the TJ and open top and everything and ran it down there. That was cold as can be.
That's right. You guys showed up in that thing and we're like, oh my God, I cannot imagine right now. Because it was in the teens, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Low teens?
It's that.
Yep.
Yeah, like
With
13 maybe?
Yeah.
All the way from Mustang.
Oh, man, that's crazy. That's crazy. So that's something that you plan on doing
monthly.
Every month?
Yep. Okay. So our monthly Mud and Mocha is based for really everybody to network and just gather around, talk about rigs, socialize, and it's built. We've seen the last 2 events. A lot of people's done a lot of networking, so it's actually provided more benefit than we even saw possible, which is really cool. But that's our chance to get everybody together and do our monthly meetings. So not necessarily our board meetings, but everybody that's on the board will be there. But it's to discuss logistics and upcoming trails and events and plans and how we're able to get a better outreach with veterans and see, you know, give the general public an eye into what we're doing. Especially as a nonprofit and the veteran stigma, we're very transparent on what we do. So it's able to get everybody together at the same time. That's
awesome. And that kind of is a good lead into what the main thing is, I guess, Recoil Outdoor. Yeah. Tell us about Recoil Outdoor.
So Recoil Outdoor is a veteran nonprofit based out of OKC that puts veterans behind the wheels of off-road capable rigs. And a professional setting, we provide recreational outdoor therapy to veterans. So our whole goal really is to just build a lifestyle of camaraderie and the guys just go out and trail riding, having fun. So I found it based upon when I got home from deployment, I was a complete different guy than before I left. And got my Jeep, and I noticed it provided me an outlet. So, and then I had a buddy of mine that he's a Marine, and we went out. I took him to his first rock bouncer race at Crossbar, and I was helping work it. And he no lie, rock bouncers, you know, 800 horsepower up rock face. And 2 weeks later, goes out and buys him a razor.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, and while he was on deployment, I built his razor for him. He didn't know it. He came home to a completely different razor, and he's hooked, and he's actually one of our trail guides now.
Awesome.
So that seeing the impact that just trail riding and just being outdoors can have to veterans, I just want to expand on that. And the nonprofit way to get everybody involved is the only way I know how to do that. So that's where we're going with it.
So how do you find these veterans to come out and take the wheel and go do this?
So Mud and Mocha is one way. So that's a event that veterans can show up and be like, hey, I want to get involved. How do I go through your program or whatever? We're able to put together a website that has a form that they can fill out that says they want to go through the program, and then we reach out personally and kind of go through the steps, fill them out, vet them, make sure that what they really need. Do they need a professional program that we can't offer? A different connection, we can offer that. We're set up with several other nonprofits that allow them to go in different directions. So if they want to go through our program directly, they just get in contact with one of us, go to our website at recoiloutdoor.org, or just give us a call. So that's a big one that they can. So
that's awesome. And if you're watching this and you're interested in getting involved and getting behind the wheel, I'll put a link to recoiloutdoor.org on the description, so check that description, and definitely if you're interested, go to recoiloutdoor.org and hit these guys up.
Heck yeah.
So you're a vet. Mm-hmm. What branch were you in?
So I was Army National Guard.
Army National Guard. Okay.
45th Infantry Division.
Okay.
So I was a 15 Delta, which is aviation powertrain technician. So I worked on helicopters, just the powertrain components, rebuilding rotor heads, stuff like that. So
very cool.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I was in for 8.5 years, went on one deployment. We were in Kuwait, Afghanistan, Syria, Iraq, all the ones. We kind of spread out a little ways. Our unit was split up quite a bit. So went over there right in the middle of COVID.
Oh, man. How was that?
So, it was a challenge.
Yeah.
So everybody jokes that Kuwait's not a real deployment because you have all the necessities. You can go off post if you want. Go see the town and stuff. And so we got there in beginning of 2020, so we mobilized in 2019. And when COVID hit, everything got shut down. So they moved the local nationals that ran post, moved them on post to us. And so we were living with the locals. It was interesting seeing the different cultures band together and make stuff happen. And then we were not able to go off post or really do anything. I mean, literally everything shut down. The coffee shops, the restaurants that were on post, everything was shut down. So it was
really
the same thing day in, day out for 13 months.
That was tough being at home during that time. Yeah. I can't imagine being overseas.
Well, and so I can't speak for other deployments and guys that have been on deployment before COVID or anything. But I can imagine it's one of those we just want to get home, right? Mm-hmm. And so you're just doing everything you can just to make it to the next day, and then next week, next month, until you make it home. And for us, it was there's nothing to do for 13 months, and it's let's just make it to the next day, And so it was, you run out of movies to watch, you run out of music to listen to. There's generators going nonstop. You can't get away from the people, the noise, everything. So I'm one that's got to be in my own confined space to decompress and re-energize, whereas other people sometimes more extroverted and they got to be around people to re-energize. And so for me personally, it was really I could not get away from the noise, and so that was the biggest struggle for me.
So you come back from deployment, a couple months later, start Recoil Outdoor, right?
So really I was doing it behind the scenes. I was taking buddies out once in a while. We got hooked up with Crossbar Off-Road Park. There's a veteran that runs that.
Okay.
And then the manager of Crossbar is also a Navy SEAL, so we got in ties with him, and they brought me on as a volunteer. So I was out there fixing stuff, running recovery, trail guiding, that sort of thing. And so I'd take buddies along with me as I'm doing that. And so I was kind of just doing it behind the scenes. And finally, it was end of last year. I was I have to do something to expand this. And the nonprofit was the only way I knew how to. So in August of 23 is when we actually officially incorporated as a nonprofit. So, but I've been doing it behind the scenes, just very informal before that. So, but yeah, no, right after deployment, I sank $10,000 into a motorcycle while I was on deployment. Got home, I was I was into racing before deployment. Well, I get home and I hop on this bike and it's I didn't enjoy it. I sank all this money into it and I was disappointed every time I got back on it. So I sold it. I actually traded it for a boat. Got the boat and it turned into a project. Finally got it running, going. It's I don't enjoy this anymore, so I sold it. And I had the Jeep, but the Jeep was kind of down for a little bit. And while it was down, I bought me a side-by-side, and so we were running trail guiding stuff. Ultimate Adventure, got to trail guide them, and it was like, okay, this is my thing. So that's where I wouldn't say started in the off-road stuff, I've done off-road stuff all my life, but that was the first big, like, I'm doing it on my own, this is my thing. So really just hit hot and heavy on that right there. So
That's awesome.
So you got a couple rigs now?
So Recoil has the TJ, which you guys have seen in person.
Okay.
That
Give
one.
us a little bit of information about that, TJ.
So the TJ, the goal was to buy a turnkey rig. It didn't really go that way. Never happens that way.
Turnkey as runs and drives.
Trail ready was my assumption. It didn't need to have all the accessories, like we can outfit it, but be able to get on the trail and run and drive and have some necessities. So I was I'm still working full time, but in my off chance I get I scroll marketplace and just find what I can find.
Right.
Well, I totaled my truck not long ago, and I had some spare cash. I was like, let me find a rig for Recoil, and found this one in West Virginia. So I'm messaging the guy, and it's got 40-inch treps, RCVs, Dana 44 front, 513 gears, Mosier backbone, 9-inch in the rear, fully caged, and a V8. So I was like, this is the rig. It's one that it doesn't look super pretty, but if it rolls or bounces off a tree, I'm not going to care about it. I'm not attached to it. So I got home from Colorado from work on a Saturday. Sunday evening, I took off to West Virginia and did a turn and burn to go get the Jeep. So it was a non-stop.
We've been known to do those.
I was gonna say, this sounds familiar.
It was legitimately, I think, a 37-hour round trip. And I have a picture, Rip It, the energy drink, the OG energy drink from deployment. That's what got me through that trip. I was running on like 2 hours of sleep. And so at the end of the trip, I had my nav up and I took pictures like, all right, the Jeep's name's Rip It. That's where Rip It name came from. But that one is one that we care about, but it's not something that anybody's attached to. So if we need to fix it up or do something to it, we can, and not really care which direction it goes, kind of thing. Yeah. So,
well, like you said, if you bounce it off a tree or something, it's not the end of the world. It's not oh my God, I've got so much money wrapped up into this, and this is my baby, and it's there to do a purpose, and that's its purpose.
Exactly.
So it's okay if some of that stuff. I'm sure you don't want somebody to roll it down a hill and.
Nobody wants to roll, but if it did roll, like, we'll turn around and fix it.
Yeah.
We've got a fabricator that came on board, Seth Brown. So he's our master fabricator, and he's actually our director of operations, and he's built chassis and tube work a long time. So he's willing to come in and redo all that stuff for us. So is that white 392 still running around here?
Ours?
Yeah.
It's not here. It's in Denver right now.
Okay, because I saw a white 392 at a Rigs and Coffee not long ago. I don't know if it was one of you guys or not.
Was that the one over at Yukon Camp, the new location, or?
Yes.
Yeah, that was me.
Okay. Yeah. So I was there with.
Has the same topo underlay graphics.
Yep. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I was there with my buddy in the Tacoma on 37s.
Oh, okay.
So,
all right. Yep. Yeah.
I thought I recognized that Jeep.
Yep, that's ours. That was so actually that day I left that event, came back, my truck with the gooseneck was out front. I pulled it behind it, pulled the ramps out, loaded up, strapped it down, and took off to Colorado.
Holy cow. Golly.
Yeah, Rob from that was running Rigs and Coffee at the previous one, he's like, when the hell are we going to see the 392? I was like, well, and actually at that time it was in Denver, and I had some parts here for it, so I brought it out, did some work on it here. We did like the American Adventure Lab inner fender liners and a few other things. Not sponsored by American Adventure Lab, by the way. Yeah, Britt, if you're listening. But we did some of that stuff to it, and so it needed to go back to Denver. The hardest part with having a place in Denver still and then being here is if we do fly back, we need a vehicle.
Yeah, yeah.
So
One.
yeah, that's the whole question, right? So, yeah, no, I mean, we love that 392. My wife absolutely loves it.
Yeah, it's a nice Jeep.
Very nice.
It's yeah. The funny part about that, so kind of going back to talking about the story of getting his Jeep tank.
Yeah.
We drove to Ohio for it. That Jeep actually was originally owned by somebody who owns a shop here in Oklahoma City and built that Jeep.
That's insane.
And then it made its way to Ohio, and now it's back in OKC.
The off-road world is so small.
It is, isn't it? All right, so Mud and Mocha's every month. All of them are going to be at Lost Lakes Adventure Park.
For now, they are. So the owners there, Roger and Garrett, have been gracious enough to allow us to come in our off season, and they've even said that even during their season when they're running the cable part, we won't be in their way. So we'll manage and figure out different ways to make it work. But yeah, that most of the time will be at the Lost Lakes Adventure Park.
Awesome.
And they're
Okay.
known for their cable park, but when we went to the last Mud Mocha, there's a whole nother facility that they have that's kind of unadventured yet, huh? You want to talk about that?
So
Or can we?
Yeah. Or
Can we talk about that?
So there's a trail section back there that used to be rode quite a bit back in the day. A lot of the old timers went out there and developed a bunch of full-size trails. I think they call it Wheel Zone. And apparently there was something that had happened with a missing girl, and they found her in the river over there. And so that's when it got shut down. So we're working really hard with the city to try and bring that back and open it back up for the Overland stuff, and show them that we can tread lightly and take care of the place and try and get the trails open back up. So there's actually a lot of land out there to be traveled and adventured. So we're working with the city to try and open up a lease out there. So
That'd be awesome. Because that is one thing. I mean, that's probably one of the big kind of culture shocks for me coming from Colorado and Colorado and West. There's a lot of public land that you can just go and take off and hit the dirt and do some trails, right?
Yep.
There's not a lot of that out here.
there's not at all. I don't know if you're on Onyx. So as of last week, I'm officially a trail guide on Onyx. So that's pretty cool. But I've got the elite version, and if you go on there and you can see who all owns the land and whatnot, it's all either city land or it's private property. So until you start getting out west where it's all BLM land, it's nuts how much there's no public land out here.
Yeah, because we did so on New Year's Day. We went and did what was on Onyx as a trail, and it was Wichita Mountain OAT trail, and it was mostly
County
dirt road.
Yep.
There was I would say it was probably about a 50-50 split between dirt and pavement, although the pavement was rougher than the dirt.
Yes.
Sounds about right.
Nothing I would consider a trail. And then my wife and I just on the 1st of February went and did Sugar Creek Loop, which is kind of like every time I would talk to people like Riggs and Cough or anything and say, all right, where can we go? The number one answer was always Sugar Creek Loop.
I think Sugar Creek Loop is a good day ride. Like if it's like last second, hey, we just want to get out of the house, it's good to go hit Sugar Creek Loop.
Yeah.
Oklahoma Adventure Trail, depending on where you go, it's more of like a point of interest kind of trail.
So I was going to ask you, kind of what's the next step for Recoil Outdoor, and kind of what do you have kind of on the schedule, and what's your kind of long term thoughts?
So there's a few different questions there I can answer. So we've got Mud Mocha monthly, and the February one is kind of our like regular Mud Mocha on Saturday morning. Marches we're pretty excited about. So March we're doing one that's a potluck / overnight camp out. So show up Saturday evening, everybody turns their camp kitchens towards the bonfire in the middle, and you have till like 6 o'clock to cook whatever you're going to cook and eat. And then the pro shop will be open for anybody that doesn't have a camp kitchen or can't bring something or whatever. So there'll be food there. But so we're pretty excited about that one. And then we're working on a big event in May. So that's going to be our annual Dirt Fest.
Okay.
And that one consists of an overlanding competition, an off-road obstacle course, a treasure hunt, and vendor row. So, and vendors are able to set for free, so we're hoping to bring out quite a few vendors. But that one should be quite a fun one. Our goal for Dirt Fest is just get a better outreach, get our name out there, and just continue to let the public come in and help us, make something happen. So we're pretty excited about that one. But we've worked on a lot of logistics on that one. So that's our biggest struggle at the moment, is just working on Dirt Fest. So once it takes off and the first one happens, the second one will get easier.
Oh, yeah.
But
Looking at making that an annual event for you?
yep, so that'll be just our annual one. We're still deciding whether we want to have it at the same location, which is a Crossbar this year. Okay. Crossbar is a great outfit for it because of the staff that's there, and being involved with them just makes it easy to have it out there. But we might look at different ways to have it at different locations. But long term, so trail rides are a big one. Eventually we'll have a shop where we are 100% full time. And the goal is like doing weekly trips. I want to be able to do week-long trips to Colorado and Moab, doing 5-night, 6-day trips in the mountains of San Juan area and stuff. So that's kind of our goal, is to do that, and then maybe open up to the public, so the public can pay to go on these trips. We'll be trail guides, and then a portion of those proceeds go to helping the nonprofit and getting veterans to go on the trips for free. So right now everything's in our own pockets, and so we're just doing it weekly in baby steps as we can.
So you say opening a shop, is that to modify vehicles and to build?
Yeah.
Or is it even to provide veterans or even the general public some opportunities to be able to do modifications?
Ideally, we would have it in two different ways. I want the nonprofit to be able to have a section where they can upfit the vehicles we have and maintain our fleet. So we would have probably 10 to 15 of our own fleet that we're taking out consistently. So this is a way to modify, upfit them and maintain them, and all of our equipment that goes along with that. And then another way, once we open it up to the public, and this is talking like maybe even 5 years down the road, where if we're on a trip and somebody's driving whatever vehicle they have, they're like, hey, I want to buy this one, or I want to go buy one, can you upfit it for us? Then we'd have an upfitting shop where we can upfit it for them and sell them the vehicle, or whatever the case may be. We can kind of tend to that opportunity. So trying to provide that, as well as it would give us a better way to provide veterans a job and employment and security when they get home and try and get out of the military and don't know which direction to go. We're able to, here's the resources you need, let us give you this opportunity and see what you think of it. So, and kind of just keep pushing and expanding as much as we can without outgrowing ourselves.
For somebody that maybe isn't, a veteran looking to get behind the wheel, whether it's general public or just a veteran that wants to help out but not necessarily be, behind the wheel, how can people help Recoil Outdoor achieve these?
So
goals?
We have a couple different ways. One, if you want to volunteer and you have a passenger seat in your rig and you want to get a veteran on the trail, then we have a volunteer form you can find on our webpage, and it has a selection of stuff that you can actually pick from. So a drop-down menu of all the ways that you can get involved. And depending on what you click, depends on where that email is sent and who will get in contact with you to better help us in what direction we go. So if you're a veteran and you want to help, that's primarily what we look for, because I feel like veterans have that, they've been there and done that. They know what you're going through. They understand the ins and outs of it, and so building that camaraderie and that way of thinking, it just tends to you better understand each other. And so we tend to let the volunteers as trail guides be veterans, but there's several sections in there that you can get involved as just the general public. We also have a current needs site on the page that you can see like what we're looking for: equipment, shop space, office space, all that stuff. That if you have something that you're like, I don't know if it'll go along with your mission, well, jump on there, and everything on there goes along with our mission. So just jump on our webpage and see how you can get involved, or feel free to get in contact with myself or message the Facebook group, and we can figure something out.
How about donations?
So donations, we are a 501c3, so any product or cash donations is tax write-off for anybody. You can go online and hit our donate button, or just contact one of us directly, and we can get you a receipt.
Last thing I want to say, thank you for your service. You know, the men and women that go out there and, you know, join the service and support us over the years, allow us to do what we do day in and day out. Without you guys, we couldn't be doing what we're doing today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate the support. Any way that anybody wants to get involved, just reach out. We're very open to the public and very transparent about what we're doing, and we can't do it without everybody else. So the guys like you guys that showed up to Mud Mocha, I mean, Mud Mocha wouldn't happen without people showing up. You know, it's simple as that. And the more networking that happens and building relationships with the guys moving forward, that's what means the most to us. And the more we can do that, the further outreach we can provide and better quality service we can provide to the guys that need it most. So, yeah, appreciate you guys having me on. And
absolutely, man. Well, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for everything you're doing. And next Mud and Mocha is February 24th.
Yes.
February 24th, so just after this video comes out. And then the one after that in March is the 16th, and that's the one that's Saturday night. Camp out for Sunday morning into Sunday morning, and it's a cook-off. So if you're on Facebook, check on is it Recoil Outdoors that you go to find these events?
Yep, so we've got Recoil Outdoors, a page. We also have a group, so you can check out both of them. You can also find me on Facebook, just Chance Leake, and I'll feel free to send me a message. I'll answer any questions that you have and whatnot. So,
and I'll put a link in the description below, so check those out. I'll put links in for recoiloutdoor.org and the Facebook pages, and you also have a YouTube channel.
Yeah, so we're trying to get the YouTube to take off a little bit. So our YouTube channel is Recoil Outdoor, and we put out 2 videos a week. So go see what we've got going on there. I mean, we've got a lot of content to be had, but we're trying to get out on the trails right now. It's been a lot of shop time.
Oh, yeah.
So
I know how that goes.
So we're trying to get away from the shop time as much, but that's where it's at right now. And then eventually we'll be out on the trails. So
you must fix before you can break.
Exactly.
Speaking of which, just yesterday we were at Cars and Coffee, and you had an issue on the way to Cars and Coffee, didn't you? With the 4-wheel drive or the transfer case?
We just rebuilt the T case, and you can find the video on our YouTube channel of us fixing it and see what the problem was. Apparently, we fixed it for a good, 50 miles or so, and then it did it again. So it actually jumped out from 2 high and 4 high, and so it does not have either one now. It just goes into 4 low. So we went from Cars and Coffee, Remington Park, all the way back to Moore and 4 low at 30 mile an hour. So we'll be rebuilding it again or finding another T case. I'm looking at options right now. So
the staying away from shop time is working, isn't it?
No.
All right, so that's going to do it here for us at another Beer30. Chance, thanks so much for joining us, and hope you all enjoyed it out there. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. And we'll see you next time on Second Chance Overland.